It's Friday, August 20th, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Unsuccessful National Union of Public Workers presidential candidate Fabian Jones has suggested a do-over of Thursday's election, citing a lack of transparency in the process. Jones made the claim last night after losing to contender Kimberly Agard, who amassed 393 votes to his 183. Her entire team also secured their positions on the union's executive council by convincing margins. However, mere moments after the results were made public, Jones expressed concerns about the integrity of the vote.
I plan to start with discussion because the trade union is, negotiation is our thing. So I plan to come to the table, meet with the admin of the union, and see if there's any possibility of a do-over. But I feel right now the only thing that will make me feel real comfortable right now is a do-over, and with different people working this election. I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable, that's the truth. And right now, I have no confidence in the process, and I will repeat myself. A do-over right now will make me feel comfortable with different workers, because I know what I experience from individuals. There's been an ongoing process. You understand that there was a systematic process, and concerns were being aired by different persons, every step of the way. And I believe that it's almost like a confirmation of some of the concerns, because there's some issues that haven't even reached the media yet, of things that happen. I actually received an email today, suggesting that certain operatives were at play trying to determine a certain outcome.
The NUPW's Acting General Secretary Wayne Waldron said there has been no evidence of foul play, but promised to investigate the issue vigorously if evidence became available. He also vouched for the honesty and integrity of the people assigned to the 14 polling stations.
If you are not satisfied with the results, we understand that if you have certain opinions, you're entitled to that. We have to get evidence of breaches in terms of proper electoral process. We will have to see those breaches. It's not enough to say you're unhappy. It's not enough to make allegations. We will have to see the evidence. Clearly, if there is evidence, obviously it will be justified to look at the process and review the process, but we cannot operate on emotions, we cannot operate on innuendos, and therefore I have not seen no evidence to suggest that the results were not fair. Everybody acted above board. There was no incidents. It was a smooth process, and therefore we are happy and can defend that the process was fair, transparent, and above board in terms of all of those persons who were assigned to work with the various polling stations.
Meantime, the new NUPW president thanked her supporters and lauded the organization's democratic process.
We have worked towards this particular result. The work is now about to begin. We now have a hard task ahead of us, but we know that we are fit for the purpose, and we will do what we have to do to bring NUPW back to the place where it should be. I want to thank my supporters. I want to thank everyone who came out and voted today. Even though they did not vote for me, they still had faith and confidence in the democratic process established within NUPW, a process of integrity. And so, my brothers and sisters, I ask you to join me in the next 2 years as we work assiduously to bring NUPW back to the place of respect where it duly deserves to be.
In other news of this Friday, the National Vaccination Program reported overwhelming demand for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine on Thursday. What began as an exercise to inoculate an initial 100 University of the West Indies staff members and students attracted in excess of 300 people who were eager to receive their first dose of the vaccine during the 2-hour exercise. Co-coordinator of the National Vaccination Program, Major David Clark, said a total of 200 students were vaccinated at the Keyville campus.
We didn't expect that much, but so we were going to do another session on Saturday. And we've got about 100 already registered for Saturday.
The Pfizer vaccine will be made available to members of the general public aged 18 and up from today. Police Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Rodney Innes is urging the public to take all the necessary safety precautions when using the country's roads. The plea came after the island recorded its 12th road fatality on Thursday. Acting Inspector Innes also issued another plea for people to desist from circulating crime and accident scene photographs on social media.
We have said this time and time again, we've been pleading with the public for years now in respect of social media, of posting these photographs, these images on social media. They have no regard for the family members who are grieving and for other persons who are looking. It doesn't look good, it's not respectful, and I'm sure that they wouldn't want it for themselves. We've been asking persons to desist from that for the longest time, and we will continue to do so. The sad thing is that those individuals get to scenes before police officers do arrive, and rather than helping the cause, they're creating problems for all of us. And we're asking personally, we're pleading with them to desist from such behavior.
Minister of the Environment and National Beautification Adrian Ford was at the scene of yesterday's tragic accident, and he remembered Lynch as a dedicated and hard worker.
On behalf of the entire Sanitation Service Department and by extension the government of Barbados, on behalf of the Prime Minister herself, I just want to send my regards and condolences to the family of our beloved Damien, who became an integral part of the sanitation over the last year or so, whilst he was an employee. I must tell you that he was the quintessence of selflessness. A man who understands all the tenets of hard work, discipline, commitment, all those basic tenets would involve the ideals of being Barbadian, and how those tenets were able to transform his workplace and the ability for him to deliver. And I must say to you that he was an exceptional worker.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
The news from the region now. The Guyana Trades Union Congress and the Guyana Public Service Union have given their full support to workers who are against mandatory vaccinations. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
The two unions in their joint statement said they will fiercely defend the rights of workers and citizens with every legal method available to them. According to the two unions, the government's current approach to managing Guyana's COVID-19 pandemic is nothing short of government-employer tyranny. The union said the blatant violation of laws and transgression of workers' and citizens' rights are abominable. They noted that effective management of the health crisis necessitates decision-making, which must be guided by science, laws, and resources, with broad and meaningful involvement of all the stakeholders, including the trades union movement. The two unions see the government's vaccination policy as a new breach of individual rights and freedoms, coupled with despicable and unlawful coercion tactics. The unions said coercive mandatory vaccination policies, which pressure citizens into receiving medical treatment against their will, is a violation of the Medical Practitioners Act and the Ministry of Health Patient Charter.
And finally, more than 500,000 Afghans have been internally displaced as a result of conflict and insecurity since the beginning of the year. Word of this from Caroline Van Buren, country representative, Afghan United Nations Refugees Agency, who said currently the overwhelming majority of the displaced was taking place within Afghanistan itself.
The humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan has rapidly escalated in the past weeks. Tens of thousands have fled their homes. Currently, the overwhelming majority of displacement is taking place within Afghanistan itself. That's where humanitarian efforts also need to be focused. Over 500,000 people have been displaced within the country since the beginning of the year. Acute humanitarian needs are now spiraling. 80% of those forced to flee within the country are women and children. They need shelter, healthcare, sanitation, and other core relief items. Most of all, they need safety and stability. The situation remains highly unpredictable. Isolated fighting and insecurity is continuing. The Taliban has given public assurances as to the safety of civilians and the upholding of human rights, including the rights of women and girls. While we welcome those commitments, it's essential they are also swiftly translated into action.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.